She is with us every Tuesday morning, managing editor at HawgBeat, covering all things Arkansas athletics. Nikki, happy Thanksgiving early here. What you got any plans? You cooking? Or is someone cooking for you? What's the plan Thursday?
Well, I'm driving down to Houston tomorrow with Ben and all 3 dogs, so that should be fun.
Oh, wow. Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and then me and my family, we just do, my parents and my sister. So my dad cooks, even though we don't have a lot of people. I think he's doing turkey 2 different ways, so we should have plenty of food.
Variety is always nice.
What kind of, like, are we smoking the turkey, frying the turkey? What do you know?
I think he's frying one and either, doing oven bake or smoking the other one. But I haven't ever had a fried turkey, so I'm excited.
Well, it's delicious when it's done right, and variety is the spice of life, and so you guys are going in the right direction. No football game on Saturday, though, Nikki, and I think all things being equal, looking at this, and you guys wrote about this too. I know Hutch did on HawgBeat. I think it's a good thing. I don't want the idea of being thin at a position group to be a reason why you might have players on the field a little too much. Also considering, the fact that the Arkansas defense is on the field for more plays than anybody else in the country per game. I think it's a good thing the game is postponed Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. They had a pretty good case to not even play last weekend. So now I've been told that they're down to like 49 scholarship players at this point with the new test results that they got, including what I'm told another defensive lineman. So it was just not going to be a good situation. Like the whole point of the scholarship minimum that they have set is to keep competitive standards high. So if that's not going to happen, then there's really no point. And I'm glad that they have that extra date. And by the way, all these other teams almost all of them have already taken advantage or used this. So it's fine for Arkansas. I know some people are like, oh, well, Mississippi State's playing with 49. Well, they might not have a choice because they're already sloughing off scholarship players like it's the off season.
Another position group where you were really down is running back. Spivey transfers. Rakeem, I don't know what the situation was, if he had tested positive or was contact tracing with Boyd, but he was out, might not have been available again on Saturday. TJ Hammonds, I think now is more a receiver, though he did have the one big carry. And that's another position where I think you could tell that not the lack of depth. It's just the idea that you didn't have one of your big guys against LSU, and I think that showed in the stats too.
Yeah, I think they could have done a little bit more, but their run game wasn't working very well already. And then if you put in someone you don't trust as much, you risk maybe a fumble or something. So as long as you're not making mistakes, it's fine. But yeah, I agree. Without Rakeem Boyd and the how depleted that room has been, I think it's just safe. You don't need to play Dominic Johnson and have him go out there and make a big mistake in his first real game. That would be really upsetting for him, I'm sure. So I think, definitely not playing this week is a solid move. And now potentially, Jalen Catalon can sit out his first half against Alabama, which in my opinion is more beneficial to Arkansas to have him for a whole Missouri game than a whole Alabama game. No offense.
Nikki Chavanelle here with us on halftime. Nikki, you bring up the Alabama game, and I'm curious because Ty and Tommy were talking about this on the morning rush. It was kind of an interesting aspect of it because, to me, I think the SEC really wants to get this Alabama-LSU game played. And in just your opinion, and you might know more than I do of this situation, do you think the Alabama-Arkansas game will be played, or do you think there's fixing to be some pretty massive reconstructing of the schedule as we see it for the last 2 or 3 weeks?
Well, I know Hutch was talking about some scenarios where they move stuff around like they just did. They hadn't done it yet, but they showed us that they were willing to when they moved, Tennessee off of Vanderbilt and on to Missouri for this week. And that was the whole reason why they went to an all-SEC schedule besides, travel and whatever and different policies across conferences. But it was so that they could move things around if they needed to. And yeah, it sucks because, Missouri was obviously preparing for Arkansas and everything, and now Tennessee. I mean, does Tennessee complain? They don't have to play this week, I don't think. So it seems like a fine situation for them. But that was the whole reason why they did it, so they can move things around. And if they do that, then that's fine. But I don't Arkansas should definitely still be able to play all 10 games. I think it would be ridiculous to somehow not make that happen.
Moving over to basketball, obviously we got basketball tipping off tomorrow, or at least hopefully all things are moving towards that game, and I think we would know if something was fixing to change with that. But I think with the postponement of the football game, a lot of eyes are going to be tuned into both basketball teams, particularly the men's basketball team, for so many newcomers that's going to be on this team. Lots of excitement around these 4 freshmen that are coming in and the transfers. What are you looking forward to seeing from a fan's perspective tomorrow night when they take on Mississippi Valley State?
Yeah, well, it's a rather easy opponent with, their best player, Caleb Hunter. He's easily identifiable. He's only one man, so if they do a good job on him and stick to the keys to the game, Musselman was talking about it yesterday, they need to have really good transition defense. Don't let Mississippi Valley State, do what they want to do and score really fast and all that. So it seems like a pretty easy game plan. So I think fans want to see them go out there and execute and look pretty crisp against a not very good opponent, even though it's the beginning of the season. I think they just want to see them get off on the right foot and obviously see as many players play as possible, although I don't know if that's really Musselman's game plan. I think he wants to try out different rotations and stuff more so than getting everyone as many minutes as they can.
Real quick before we let you go, Nikki, we want to ask you about offensive lineman commit Devin Manuel. He was visiting during the LSU game. Did he have a good visit up at Razorback Stadium?
Yeah, he did. So he was one of the many that hadn't been able to ever visit Fayetteville before he committed in June. So he finally made it up. His season down in Louisiana is over. He plays at a small 2A program in Arnaudville called Beauchene. So his season's over. He finally made it up, and he loved it. The fans recognized him. He's a, 6'4", massive offensive lineman. So he wasn't hard to miss in the stands, and I think he was here for 3.5 days, so he got plenty of time to check everything out in Fayetteville, and he's feeling very solid in his decision now. He has A&M and some other programs still talking to him weekly, so I wanted to make sure that, the visit solidified his decision more than made him question it.
We got a nice photo of him with Lucas Coley here. Lucas is flashing the A. I didn't know that was still a thing. That could be a good piece of the future here. But again, I thought the A thing went away with Brett Bielema.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he even knows about that. But maybe he saw some pictures and doesn't know the stigma around it.
I tell you what, I mean, if he comes here and starts winning a bunch of games as the starting quarterback in a couple of years, he can do whatever he wants with those fingers and making A's. Nikki, always appreciate your time. And, of course, on this week, we give thanks. I want to thank you for all the time you've given us on this show ever since it started. She's been with us since the word go. So Nikki's one of us. We appreciate you, Nikki. Travel safe to Houston and have a great holiday with your family.
Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Nikki.